Hello, this is Everett Pierce, and it is November the 18th, 2016. And it's about 20 after 8. Now, on this, I think it's the third part, of the popular vote in Electoral College. Okay, that's what we all are familiar with. Okay, we're going to explain about another aspect to this voting that a lot of people are not aware of. Okay, there's a big difference between someone who is a scholar of our government, a scholar of these structures that we have in place in terms of voting, okay, versus someone who wrote the book. Okay, so recently President Obama had made mention about a democracy nation is a difficult situation for a nation. And it is. It is very difficult for any nation to have a democracy. Mainly because you have the element of human behavior. And pardon my French, I'm a man of communications and words. It can turn into a mental cluster fuck. Because you got all these people, you know, like my friend of mine, Big Chief, he says, you know what's wrong with America? I said, Chief, stop it. You don't talk like that. Oh, too many chiefs, not enough Indians. So, but he's right. It's like we have everyone wanting to be a chief, but no Indians. Okay, we can talk about that all together. But I'm very pleased to hear that Obama brought that to the forefront. 43% of Americans didn't vote. So if we had roughly 120 million Americans, so roughly 80 million people didn't vote. Okay, now in terms of an election, that's why we have popular vote contained only on the level of the state. Because of, and we're going to point at certain things, meaning that we'll just say only 1 million people voted. And of that 1 million people voted, we'll just say that all of them were Charles Mansons. So you're going to say, wait a minute, you're going to put Charles Manson in charge of our country? Hell no. So, you know, in terms of understanding the right to vote and taking it one step further, making it mandatory to vote. Well, one of the downsides to making it mandatory to vote, it takes away the genuineness of it. Meaning that if it's not mandatory to vote and you go out and vote, it gives you that sense of, I'm not required to vote, but I want to partake in our government. And that doesn't rob you of practicing and being American. Okay, but there's downsides. There's positive and negatives on either side of this. And that's what I explained as Abraham Lincoln about not only the right to vote, but making it mandatory vote. And we're looking at the positives and negatives on both sides of that. So if we make it mandatory, now you're going through the motion of things like paying your taxes. Like we have people out there that are saying, well, boy, I gotta pay my taxes. Blah, blah, blah. You know, everywhere you go, you're being taxed. Okay, so we have a major concern. So we got 80 million Americans out there, give or take, 43% that did not vote. Okay, and that draws a big concern because that's almost half of our population. Why are they not voting? Are they working 2-3 jobs and they don't have time to vote? Well, in terms of an election, okay, and that's where the popular or the Electoral College comes into play, is to see that fairness is into play. Is to see that, make sure that we don't have a Charles Manson trying to take over our government. Is to make sure that Hitler's not taking over our country. And we're dealing with, when we come together like a highly functional machine, you're going to see awesomeness on levels that you would thought was impossible. Okay, so basically we're trying to do the impossible. But what people don't realize, we are so close of taking that out the impossibility out. Because I believe it was more than possible. I simulated up here because of everyone here. I think, therefore I am. That means you are awesome. And I knew that everyone on this planet and anyone in America, if we come together the way I simulated in my head, we was going to make it more than plausible. We're going to make it freaking awesome. That's like Trump saying, making America great again. You know, I can go on and on and on how the status in which we're at is not considered great. I mean, it's better than what we have been in the last 100 years. But we are far, far from the definition of great. And that's where we're heading in now. We're in an evolutionary transition. Okay, so of the 43 million people, or 43%, which is roughly 80 million people, many of these are going to be good-abiding citizens who have guns, who have firearms. Now, can you imagine, out of the 80 million, would it say 10 million people start, 10 million, not thousands of people, but 10 million, start marching down the street with their guns and say, we're tired of this. We're tired of you guys going out there under the protest name and rioting and tear things up, and they just start shooting your ass. And they say, wait, they go, we don't have nothing to lose. You're tearing up our country. Well, shit, we're just going to get rid of you and we'll just count our losses. So when you think about this 43%, what's going through their mind? Because they were also unheard as well. 80 million people. The people who have been protesting and rioting, those have been people in the thousands. Can you imagine 80 million people? And to say, we want to open up that line of communication. We want to know what 80 million people, why you didn't come to the polls to practice being American. Are you on the verge of pulling out your guns and saying screw it? And you're going to start shooting all the rioters out there that are causing mayhem and beating people up and burning business down and shooting people? I mean, could we blame them? 10 million people walk down the street and they see you saying, well, I ain't going to listen to a white man's voice. I ain't going to listen to a black man's voice. I ain't going to listen to... And they're going to pull out the gun and say, well, we ain't going to listen to anyone's voice. And we think terrorism, our concern is people abroad. Like in Denver, Colorado. We have terrorism on both fronts. People from other nations that look upon us and they think we're the devil incarnate. And it's because of this human behavior that we have. We got to come together on it. We can be an awesome functional machine. Okay, but so in terms of the election, okay, you know who you're going to vote for, either Trump or Hillary. And there's a third element, also known as Trinity, means other. So we have a lot of people out there that you have the group of people that want to take zero accountability. It means something bad happens. They don't say, well, I didn't vote for anyone. Well, we can't encourage that. Everyone has to be accountable, just like people in prison. Once a day, everyone's accounted for, is to make sure everyone's where they're supposed to be. Placement. So, placement 101. Okay, so that's why, very valid point, two valid points that Obama had brought up is democracy, a nation of democracy, is not an easy task. And in fact, it's a mental clusterfuck. Pardon my French. But I'm a man of communications. And if I found a better way to implement a better description, I would. And there's nothing else. Okay, so for 43%, can you imagine? Okay, we got one gunman, a terrorist person from ISIS. ISIS is not our only threat. It is our own American people. Can you imagine 10 million people going down, protesting with AK-47s and AR-15s and grenades and whatever else they have in there, because they're good abiding citizens. They're not on any list. They're just on the level of they're tired of you bringing about this illusion of racism. Why, I ain't going to listen to a white man's voice. I ain't going to listen to a black man's voice. Black lives matter. And well, the thing is, Black Lives Matter, that's what KKK was doing back in the day. White lives matter. And they killed and beaten and tortured. So we have to be on the level of all lives matter. So it comes to is why is it that difficult for people to accept the fact that's provable in the court of law we are of the brown race? 50 million shades of brown. That's what you can prove. God forbid that we do that. Why? Because now if we are all the same, that means I have to put some effort to get to understand you and be patient and be understanding and vice versa. You know, and then we go into cultural things. And, you know, cultural, I mean, pretty much everyone knows what cultural things. I mean, if I go to China, you're going to have rice, you're going to have seafood. Okay, does that mean I dislike or racism against people in China? No. I mean, that comes to preference to what you like to eat. You know, food is food. It's nourishment. Okay. So that's one of the reasons why it's like part of racism is that you have, think of it as something in your hand. You just got to let it go. If he's an American, refer to him as an American. Don't get into these descriptive, well, you're a black man and I think you're against the white man. And don't assume things. Start treating them as the brown race. And you will find your hatred and everything else will go away. Okay, but we need to look at why is 43%. Okay, in terms, and you say, well, Hillary won the popular vote. If you was to do a popular vote of all the states. Well, the other, in terms of either Hillary or Trump or the other, means people didn't know who to vote. Well, you say, well, how do we assign those votes? Well, the best way to assign that is fairness. We all know what fairness is. Meaning if you got 80 million people out there who didn't vote, and you didn't take it any further, it would go into the third category of other. Now, as an electoral college, okay, let's say Trump already won the electoral college vote. Okay. So now if you look at the 80 million people, you say, wait a minute, the last 2 terms of 8 years have been with a Democrat. And if you look at the last 3 presidents, 16 of those 24 years have been by Democrats. Then 80 million people votes would lean towards Donald Trump. Because whether they voted or not voted, they are still part of the collective knowledge. Collective knowledge means you obtain all the information, just like we use in a court of law, to make the best decision possible. Meaning that if you provided 20 elements of fact, solid facts, and you only provided only 1, we have to go with the majority. And say, wait a minute, there's 20 facts versus your 1 fact here. And we have to go with making the right decision on things. Okay, so that's why we need to talk about, you know, the different dynamics of voting, from popular vote to electoral vote, and see it from different perspectives as the pros and cons to it all. And we have to have a system in place that isn't necessarily perfect, but it is perfect in accommodating multiple levels of evolution, multiple levels of belief systems and thought. So that way, if no one votes, and there's only 1 million people out there that voted during this election, and they're all Charles Manson, holy crap. Or what if it's Hitler? Then we're in trouble. So the Electoral College is like one stage up from being a Supreme Court judge. Means they're not biased whatsoever. They're not Democrat, they're not Republican, they're not liberal. They're, if anything, they're self-preservationist. Self-preservation of our nation. And then they extend it on to other nations. But you have to take care of your nation first. You have to clean your house up first. And then when we got a clean house, everything is in order, everyone's feeling good. And then when we bring these immigrants over, this dream and this hope and faith that they have coming over here to have a great life compared to what was happening in their nation, you put real hope and faith within people of other nations. When they come over here and all they got to look forward to is water that looks like a bunch of donkeys pissed and pooped in it, that doesn't look good on us. And it's no wonder why they think that maybe we might be the devil incarnate. No, it's like our nation is trying to come together and work together, functional as a machine. So that's why I know that other nations would be little understanding of us right now as we, pardon my French, as we get our shit together. And that's what's happening, is a lot of things have gone undealt with. And that's why we have to come forth and get with the program. And so, in a situation where you don't have to come to the United States for this awesome future that you have envisioned, that we create this situation throughout all nations. I mean, you can stay within your own nation and you still have that dream that you have for you and your future generations of getting beyond certain things. It's like civil war. You know, certain things had to happen, if anything, to remind us what we don't want. We don't want to be fighting amongst ourselves. Because if you look at that battlefield of Gettysburg, no one won. Bunch of lives. A lot of mothers and daughters, and everyone lost loved ones. That's something that remains in the history book as a reminder for us what not to do. So, in terms of this election, we have to have collective knowledge. And that way, like, if it was reversed, what did it say if it was reversed? We had Republicans in our government. That's why we had this switching back and forth, giving opportunity, if not fairness, and most importantly, fairness. So, if it was a reverse, and Republicans were in there, and Hillary was on this side, and she didn't have the popular vote, but she got the electoral vote. Okay, and what does it say? 50% of Americans didn't vote because they just wasn't sure. You know, so you can put that in many different statistical probability, just like you're figuring out the lottery. You know, how many combinations of numbers can you have? Well, in terms of how this can unfold, you know, you could have the electoral college as well as the popular vote in totality. You know, so the thing that Obama had mentioned is also concerned with me, is the 80 million people who didn't vote. Are they put up? Are they angry with? Are they confused? Obviously, they're confused, or something's inhibiting their ability of wanting to go out to practice be American. We just don't need 10 million Americans buying the Good Samaritan, going down the street and saying, hey, you know, they're tired of people and kids yelling at each other and stirring up hatred. And they're going to say, hell with it. I don't like the life that we're in already. And they go just down the street and start shooting up everyone who's demonstrating hatred. Oh, you want to burn up that business, huh? And then they shoot you. Because that's not what we want to see in our nation. Now, not saying it's okay to go down the street and kill people, because that only adds to the fire. But if anything, it gives you open your mind to the cause and effects of things. Why do we have popular vote? Why we have electoral college? Why we have certain people facilitating overview of the people? Because like what Obama has said, democracy is a one giant clusterfuck. Well, he didn't say those words. That's my words. He's saying it's very difficult. He put it in a nice way. You know, I have some rough edges around me. Okay, but when the dust settles, I want to make sure that you and I are both in the best interest of our future. So, and Some people put it in more of a polite way. I put it in a way that I think is most effective. Because if you say please and thank you, if you go behind the walls, see, I did my research behind the walls in prison. If you go in prison and you say please and thank you, they see that as weakness. And there's multiple things that happens in prison that you don't say please and thank you. If you screwed up or if you fucked up, you say my bad. My bad. So that's why even in prison, there's a certain element of languages. It's about communication. You know, the word itself is, as far as the negative tone, positive tone to it, is how people have utilized it and projected it. So that's why it's important. The election process is very important. You know, so it's that. What is going through the minds of 80 million people out there? Are we going to wake up tomorrow and we're going to have 80 million people marching down the street? They're going to say, F this. We're tired of these crooked politicians. We're tired of this. And we're tired of this and tired of this. And they got as much ammunition as our military people. You know, and you probably have heard rumors about martial law. You know, this is a reality, people. And that's why everyone take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. You know, it's okay to be human. Okay? What isn't okay is when you get in the mindset, you know, and you're holding on false hope and false faith. And you get in that state of mind of, fuck it. If I'm screwed, then you're going to be screwed, then we're all going to get screwed. That's what we need to get out of. You know, how we got there, I don't care how, you know, but for the fact that we're there. And I have hope and faith in you that we can pull out of this. We can pull out. You guys are awesome. Why do you think you're here on this planet? Why do you think that I have assimilated up here that this is the best system to make things happen on the level that you think is a dream? You know, it's like we thought, oh, going to the moon or flipping up a phone, you know, that was scientific. No. I have faith and hope in everyone out there. Let's come together like a functional engine, motor. We understand that concept. We understand when something, you know, when you turn on the television, it doesn't work, or the channels or sound doesn't work. You understand the principle behind dysfunction. And I'm calling upon all Americans. I'm calling upon all nations. Let's work together, and especially other nations. I ask that you be understanding to us Americans. I mean, we're, in the real sense of it, we're trying to pull our head out of our asses and try to get along. And so, and that's what's happening here. You know, we don't want to go back 4 billion years on an evolutionary reset because we're trying to avoid extinction. Extinction is always and will always be our true enemy. Always, always, always. And with that, I think we'll end it right there on this November 18th, 2016. So, to give you something to think about, and if we have to, we'll put out one video after another after video, is we have to have collective knowledge. We have, I mean, whether it's our own Americans or other nations, we have to know what's going on. So think of it like Noah in the ark, and you put all these animals in the ark. There are two things that has to happen. Either they learn to get along, to cohabitate, or they will destroy each other to extinction. There's one of the two, yes or no, male, female. So these are the things that we have to keep in mind when it comes to human behavior. We got all these tools available from positive to negative, and you can take some that's considered positive and apply it wrongly and bring about negative results. And people, American people and people throughout other nations are learning these little dynamics of energy. You know, the symbolism of the sword. What can be your salvation can also be your death. So that's why we have to get familiarized with the tools in which we have and see how, think of it as a tempered piece of glass. And it got broke. And it shatters into a million different pieces. That's essentially what we see and on this planet with the religions. So we're going to talk about the religion aspect of things. And a lot of people think that we're targeting religion, but we're not targeting religion. We're targeting those who are hiding behind the banner of certain religions, certain sector of people. And we're going to cover that in a different video itself. And hopefully that'll make you more understanding. Just like better understanding in terms of popular vote, electoral college, and 80 million people that didn't vote. You know, I mean, now, I mean, for a lot of, why people are fearful and nervous, it's the 80 million people out there, they don't know what they're thinking of. Are they going to, these are good Samaritan people. They got guns, they got knives in there. Are they going to go pouncing down the street? And they're going to say, screw you. You want to bring about hatred between the lighter brown and the darker brown? They'll just kill you. I mean, I've seen into the future of things. I'm an energy man. So I know, I study the past and I study the future, and I basically try to bring about certain principles that puts extinction at its least advantage. It still has to exist. Whether you have forever life, you have extinction. That's the yin-yang of energy. So we have to be mindful of these things. You know, you don't want to, where your only asset on your resume is it being an extinctionist. I can tell you, that's not anything you want to be proud of. You don't want to be an exhibit next to T-Rex or the Raptor, because other life forms that look at you, look at T-Rex and say, oh, they're professional extinctionists. That's all they were able to manage to accomplish in their evolution. When the end result was extinction, that's nothing to be proud of. But when we go a certain length of evolution, you say, wow, they must be onto something. Just like the United States must be working with something as to why we haven't failed. When other nations have experienced failure on many different levels. You know, and they learn how to pick themselves up. But the United States essentially is like the big brother and big sister. So we're trying to get ourselves together. We're trying to act, look, walk, talk as like the big brother. And then we're asking other nations to be patient with us, because democracy, or this type of concept of evolution, an evolutionary concept, means of great things to come. You're going to have trials and errors. You're going to have ups and downs. And that's why everyone has to put more effort towards understanding one another. Put hate to the side and say, okay, why do I not like you? Listen to them and find out why they do not like you. More times than not, you will find one of the biggest element in there is communications. Is they're misunderstanding you and you are misunderstanding them, and then extinction works you both together against each other, where you want to kill each other, and then extinction becomes the winner. So keep in mind of these things, because it's important. We are in an evolutionary transition, and for once we are as close as we ever have been of being successful. So we don't have to go back 4 billion years. We can go forward 4 billion years. And that's awesome. Because there's a lot of great things in the future that is basically what everyone dreams of. It's exactly what everyone dreams of. But we got to get past this transition. We have to put our differences to the side. And we got to learn, just like the car motor. There's so many parts to that car motor, but we all know that we have to work together in a functional system of things. Just like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 9, if you take any of the numbers out, no matter what level you are in, what height, your weight, the skin tone, economics, you know that is being your example of our very own symbols of numbers, is they're all equally important. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that all numbers are created equal, that life is all equal. Not just black lives matter, white lives matter, blue lives matter, green lives matter. All lives matter. Because if we don't all matter, we become extinctionists. And that's nothing to be proud of. That means that we could not figure out how, just like the animals in Noah's Ark, we weren't able to figure things out, and we destroyed each other. And we don't want that on our resume. We want to see 4 billion years into the future. And then a lot of these things will just fizzle away and say, wow, whoo-wee. That's where I'm at. I'm like, we're almost there, people. We are almost there. People have not seen past 2018, by the way. That's why when we get past 2018, people are not going to have deja vu. Because no one has lived beyond. I have seen beyond 2018. But this evolution has not gone beyond 2018. It's not 12/21/2012. It's 12/21/2018. If you take 2 and 8, which is a 10 scale, it's 2018. So, but the thing about evolution, like school, you have to, if you graduate in first grade, you have to spend 1 day on second grade to be official. So that's why we talk about these things and bring it to the open, not to fear it. And say, okay, we're going to set our differences aside and we're going to find out how we fit into each other like that tempered piece of glass. How we fit together so we can get that big pane of window together. You know, all the religions that you see out there. You know, you say, what religion is of man and of energy? Put them all together and that's what you have. Because religion has been broken up in different sectors. Put them all together in a functional engine. Then you'll have the right form of religion in terms of understanding the highest level of evolution, meaning God. We see many samples of lower levels of, or different levels of evolution. You know, if you have the lowest, you know you also have the highest. And so if you're able to operate on this level in terms of thought and intelligence, then there's something else that's even far higher than that. So that's what we know in terms of factual things. Things are not happening coincidental. Things have a particular reason for it. And it's us trying to figure things out so we can take off being extinctionists. And we are futurist. From extinctionist to futurist. Means we are going to see some great things. We're going to be about great things. You're awesome. I'm awesome. And don't allow anyone to make you believe other than that. Otherwise, your manifestations will go into a self-fulfilling prophecy and you will spend the remaining of your life proving such. And you will put so much effort into proving something that is so incorrect. With that, this is Everett Pierce on this 18th day of November 2016. And let's get behind Trump. Let's put our effort and let's put our weight behind Trump. He's a very intelligent man. He's my apprentice. Let's get behind him so we can see 4 billion years in the future. With that, we'll end it right there. Thank you. This is Everett Pierce of Einstein 314.